You are here, right now, reading this, breathing, thinking, existing. But have you ever stopped and asked how? Not philosophically, not religiously, literally. Where did you come from? Not your parents, not your grandparents. Go back further. Way further. Before city, before farm, before language, before fire, before anything we recognize as human civilization. Where did the very first humans come from? Who were they? Where did they live? And how did they become us? The answer is one of the most extraordinary stories in the history of life on this planet, and most people have never heard the full version. Let's start with what we know for certain. Every human being alive today, every single one, all 8 billion of them, traces back to Africa, not Europe, not Asia, not the Americas, Africa, specifically East Africa, the region we now call Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, the cradle of humankind. This is not a theory anymore. This is not a hypothesis. This is written in our DNA, in every cell of every human body on Earth. The genetic evidence is overwhelming, clear, undeniable. We are all African. Every one of us. No exception. But where did those first Africans come from? Because humans did not just appear. We evolved from something that came before us, and that something our closest evolutionary ancestor was not a chimpanzee. People always say that. It is not accurate. Chimpanzees did not become human. Chimpanzees and humans share a common ancestor, something that lived around 6 to 7 million years ago. A creature that was neither chimp nor human. Something in between, something we have never fully seen, only glimpsed in fragments of fossilized bone, in teeth preserved in ancient rock, in partial skulls dug out of African hillside. From those fragments, that long-vanished ancestor split into 2 lines. One line became chimpanzees, one line became us, and the line that became us had a very long road ahead. The first members of our genus Homo appeared around 2 to 3 million years ago. Homo habilis, handyman, named for the stone tools found alongside their remains. Simple tool, rough-edged rocks shaped just enough to cut, to scrape, to process food. Not impressive by our standards, revolutionary by theirs, because no animal before them had deliberately shaped a rock into a tool. No animal before them had looked at a stone and seen something it could become. That was new. That was us, beginning. Then came Homo erectus, around 1.8 million years ago. And this is where things get genuinely interesting, because Homo erectus was not just smarter than what came before. Homo erectus was mobile, extraordinarily mobile. They left Africa, the first humans to do it. They walked out into Asia, into what is now China, Indonesia, Georgia. They spread across an enormous portion of the Earth, and they survived for nearly 2 million years, longer than any other human species has existed, far longer than we have been around. They used fire. Evidence suggests Homo erectus was controlling fire at least 1 million years ago, maybe longer. Fire meant warmth in cold climates. Fire meant cooked food. And cooked food, this is important, changed everything. Cooking breaks down food before it enters the body. It makes calories easier to extract, it kills pathogens, it makes tough meat and hard tubers digestible. And researchers believe that the shift to cooked food allowed the human digestive system to shrink, and the energy saved from digestion went to the brain. The human brain is extraordinarily expensive to run. It consumes roughly 20% of your body's total energy. For an organ that is 2% of your body weight, that is a remarkable investment. And cooking may have helped make it possible. Fire did not just keep us warm. Fire may have built the brain that is reading this right now. Then, around 300,000 years ago, something new appeared in Africa. Again, always Africa, Homo sapiens, us, modern human, with the same basic brain architecture we have today, the same capacity for abstract thought, the same ability to plan for the future, the same ability to imagine things that do not exist, and then make them exist. We did not arrive fully formed. We evolved gradually. The earliest Homo sapiens fossils found in Morocco at a site called Jebel Irhoud are around 315,000 years old, and they look almost like us. Not exact, the skull shape was slightly different. The face slightly different, but close enough. The brain was reorganized. The modern human mind was assembling itself, piece by piece, over hundreds of thousands of years. But here is something most people do not know. We were not alone. When Homo sapiens appeared in Africa, other human species were still alive, still walking the earth. Neanderthals in Europe and Western Asia, Denisovans in Siberia and Asia, Homo erectus still surviving in parts of Southeast Asia, a tiny species called Homo floresiensis on the island of Flores in Indonesia. The Earth had multiple kinds of human at the same time, different species, different bodies, different brains, all descended from the same ancient African ancestor, all separated by geography and time, and all, eventually, gone, except us. Around 60 to 70,000 years ago, Something happened. Something that changed everything. Homo sapiens left Africa. Not for the first time, there is evidence of earlier migrations that went nowhere. But this time it stuck. A relatively small group of people, some estimates say as few as a few thousand individuals, walked out of Africa into the Middle East, and from there, everywhere. Some went north and west into Europe, some went east into Central Asia. Some followed coastlines all the way to South Asia, to Southeast Asia, eventually to Australia, reaching the Australian continent at least 65,000 years ago, crossing open ocean to do it, in boats or rafts, built by people who had never seen that horizon before, and did not know what was on the other side. And as they spread, they met the others, the Neanderthals, the Denisovans, the species that had been living in those places for hundreds of thousands of years before we arrived. And here is where the story gets complicated and fascinating. For a long time, scientists assumed Homo sapiens simply replaced the other species, outcompeted them, drove them to extinction, and moved on. But then DNA analysis changed everything. Because when researchers sequenced the Neanderthal genome, and compared it to modern human DNA, they found something unexpected. Neanderthal DNA in us. People of non-African descent carry roughly 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA. People with Asian heritage carry Denisovan DNA as well, which means we did not just replace them, we met them. We lived alongside them. We had children with them, and those children survived, and had children of their own. The other human species are not entirely gone. They live on, in us, in small fragments, scattered through our genome. We carry them with us, everywhere we go. So what happened to the other? Why are we the only human species left? The honest answer is, we do not fully know, but we have ideas. Homo sapiens had something the others lacked. Or had more of, behavioral modernity, the full package of modern human cognition, not just intelligence, but the specific kind of intelligence that produces symbolic thinking, art, language with unlimited complexity, the ability to cooperate in large groups of strangers, the ability to share information across generations, to teach, to accumulate knowledge over time. Neanderthals were not stupid. Let's be clear about that. They used tools. They buried their dead. There is evidence they used pigment, possibly for decoration, possibly for art. They were intelligent beings, but something about the way Homo sapiens thought, the scale of cooperation, the complexity of communication, the ability to build social networks across large distances gave us an edge. And edges, compounded over thousands of years, become everything. And here we are. 8 billion of us, on every continent, in every climate, from the Arctic to the equator, from rainforests to deserts to mountain peaks, all descended from that small group of people who walked out of Africa 60,000 years ago, all carrying traces of the other humans we met along the way, all shaped by every migration, every adaptation, every cold winter and dry season that our ancestors survived. You are not the end of a story. You are the latest chapter in a story that started 6 million years ago in Africa with a creature that was not quite us, but was trying to be. The next time you look at another person, any person, different skin, different language, different side of the world, know what you are actually looking at. A cousin, a distant one, but a cousin. Someone who shares ancestors with you, real ancestors, people who walked the same ground, felt the same sun, survived the same impossible odds. The distance between any two humans on Earth is smaller than it looks. We all came from the same place. We all started the same way. A small group of people, standing at the edge of a continent, looking out at a world they had never seen, and walking into it anyway. That is where we came from. That is who we are.